Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Thank you for joining the BRICEM Indonesia webinar today. In this session, we will have 4 panelists, including myself. So we will have Pak Itoh Simon. He is a Chief Business Officer of PT Asuransi Simas Jiwa. Profesor Gracia Sinta Ugut, Dean of Faculty of Economics and Business at Pelita Harapan University, and Ibu Junita Gunawan, Senior VP of Treasury Division of PT Bank Sentral Asia Tbk. So today we will have a great session, an interesting session, because we have a panelists who are obviously expert in their fields. So we also hear insight, useful information from each panelist. So we will receive updates from the manpower regulation, from the business perspective, and practical issue, and also we also hear the experience from one of the panelists with regard to managing the pension fund program. So I think all the attendees are coming from the company, so it will be a good session for the companies to hear, especially for those who wants to plan to register themselves in the pension fund program, and how a company can get most of the benefit from the pension fund program. And also, obviously, we will also hear the experience from one major organization in the company, how they support and how to maintain and manage the pension fund program for the company, and also for the welfare of their employees. Without further ado, so I think the first panelist, Pak Itoh, to give a presentation. Each panelist will be given maximum 7 minutes to share the presentation. Thank you. Please go ahead, Pak Itoh.
Okay, thank you, Ibu Lia. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, the dignitaries, members of the British Chamber, and all the participants of this beloved webinar. So it will be my honors in this afternoon, to kick off this webinar with, I will give you all a bit trigger and some introductory about how the right way to manage your pension fund. So I will start this with one of the quotes that I got. It is very good. I think I need to share. That, after all, is only a matter of a few hours, a few minutes, but a pension is like poverty. It lasts a whole lifetime. Pensions is sometimes it's just like a words that may be a nightmare when people coming to the retirement time. So there's a lot. Before we are talking more about the pension, we need to see what is actually a pension fund. According to the Oxford Living Dictionary, I get one good quote about a regular payment made during a person's retirement from an investment fund which that person of their employer has contributed during their working life. Sometimes it could be a nightmare, but is it a nightmare or not? I think this is no, because actually pension fund is an investment fund for your retirement plans. So it could be funds also. So if we're talking about the pension fund, major making is we can divide into the 3 types. If we're talking about the basic things, it's coming from the regular laws of Indonesian law. We call the BPJS Ketenagakerjaan. Then you also can do by your own self what we said about alternate, which is your personal saving. But this is not a good way because you'll be get a lot of things to do here and a lot of tax problem. So then an improved way is you can go through to the expert, what we call the pension fund or DPLK in Indonesia, called Dana Pensiun Lembaga Keuangan. and how you prepare your pension fund. This is the best way. We can talking about how you prepare your pension fund. Basically, you need to have to purchase the right pension program. You need to build a good portfolio based on the dividends and the interest payments and the method of payments of the company. And the third, last but not least, is we're talking about the health and what is the company condition. So this is the major of three ways that you need to see and to take a look before you take your pension funds preparing. And so what happened is, if you already have a pension fund, but slightly you have a big problem for sure, sometimes the problem will be like common things, but this is not actually a problem, but this is actually coming with the true condition. But sometimes the real returns for the pension fund is slightly lower than what they call projections. But this is actually a good, it's actually happened, but because through the condition of not only Indonesia, but whole the world, sometimes the investment could be up and could be down. But as long as it is still on the project investment, I think it is still a good way that you need to handling over that. And another potential one is called about the regulatory potential changes, because the regulation keep changing, but we need to fulfill for that. So I think this is just some of my trigger for the Q&A and discussion for today webinar. So I'll be happy to answer more questions in the next Q&A sessions and have a good discussion after that, and hope you enjoy the rest of the webinar. Happy retirement. I think the rest, I go back to Ibu Lia. Thank you, Ibu Lia.
Thank you, Pak Ite, for the short presentation. I think for the second presentation will be me, who will be the panelist to discuss about the regulation from the Manpower regulation on the pension fund program. Basically, pension fund programs are regulated in the Manpower law. So as we know that the Manpower law has been amended by the job creation law. So in the previous provision in the Manpower law, it says that if an employer had enrolled its employees in a pension fund program, the employer had to pay them a severance package due to employees terminated because of reaching pension age, plus the accumulated pension fund benefits. So actually, for the under the previous provision, it's very clear that the pension fund program can only be used to pay severance for employees who have reached retirement age, which will be 55, commonly 55, or now currently some employer changed into 56 years old because of the BPJS for retirement age. And the other thing is that from the regulatory perspective, actually, the Manpower law does not require employers to enroll their employees in a pension fund program. So this is optional. However, I know that many major companies or employers register the employees in the pension fund program just to make sure that they have sufficient fund to pay their employees upon their retirement. So that will be the basic thing for the pension fund program under the Manpower law, and also how the previous provision regulate this program. And due to the enactment of the job creation law, then this provision has been revoked, and the new law on this pension program is under the Peraturan Pemerintah or Government Regulation number 35 of 2021. The difference is that now the pension fund program under this new regulation can be used to pay severance pay not only due to for the termination, of course, not only due to the retirement age, but also for the other reason for termination. So, for example, if the company will want to do the restructuring efficiency, and the company can use the benefit, the pension fund benefit, to pay the severance pay to the employees. So this is a big difference between the previous provision and the Peraturan Pemerintah number 35. And in the past, the manpower law said that the employer can only pay the employees of using the pension fund benefit for a severance, but plus accumulated pension fund benefit. What does it mean? It means that the accumulated pension fund benefit cannot be used to pay or to set off the total severance amount. So the employee will get both severance package and the accumulated pension funds benefit. That's in the past, in the previous regulation. But now the PP number 35 clearly states that the accumulated pension fund benefits can be calculated as a part of the severance package paid to the employees. Of course, that like the previous requirement, only the contribution that the employees pay can be calculated as a part of severance package. Meaning that if, for example, the severance, the total pension fund benefit is less than the total amount severance pay, then the employer is required to top up their contribution. So it will meet the severance package amount. And all the pension fund programs and also benefit and everything should be further regulated in the employment agreement, company regulation, or collective labor agreement. So even though the law, or even though the PP, the government regulation clearly state that it can be used, the pension fund benefit can be used for paying the severance and paying severance upon termination, but this scheme should be further regulated in the manpower documents. Yes, I think this is my presentation. So I will open for discussion for the pension fund program. So let me now hand over the presentation to Prof. Gracia to discuss about pension fund program from the business perspective. Please, Prof. Gracia.
Thank you so much, Ibu Lia, and good afternoon to all of you. Thank you for coming in and listening to this webinar. As clear as what had been presented by Pak Iteh and also by Ibu Lia, it seems like the regulations is changing across time, but the basic question is still the same, whether companies should have a pension fund. And if they do choose to have pension fund, what will be the advantages? And if they are not, then, you know, like, what are the advantages also of not having one? So in general, in many parts of the world, the pension fund usually that is useful for the company because usually there is a tax issue or tax advantages or tax breaks that we relate to having this kind of pension fund incorporated in the corporations. I believe Ibu Lia and the team from Makarim and Tyra can explain a little bit more on the tax advantages, because that is the main reason usually that why a company pursue that kind of route for having pension fund, particularly for the company which is small and medium enterprises which is not a public listed company, because for the public listed company is a little bit like more almost like a compliance that you have to have that as part of the compensations. Now, the plan itself is one of the way for the company actually to attract talents. Okay, so if the company is a startup, have less cash, you know, like, but they want to have a very great team. So basically, what they can offer is actually to have this kind of pension plan as part of their compensations benefit. So this is one of the better one that, you know, can attract where you don't have basically to immediately expense it, you know, in sense that you have to pay immediately, because as you know that in the discussions of the pension fund, there is always what we call the vesting right or the vesting period where, you know, there is also eligibility on like based on age and service of the years that you have, and then when you will start with this all these contributions based on the law in the country, but it also can be because of the regulations perhaps being made in the corporations, as long as it's not in contradictions with the law. So these situations actually is also very interesting because the talent will start thinking that, you know, perhaps I will have to spend a little bit of time in this company, but you know, the benefit will accrue. So I will not be in the positions where I have to rely on the personal savings, like in that pyramid that being shown by Pak Iteh earlier. So these are the things that actually can be attractive. And as an owner in many countries, if they are part of the pension fund that they set up in their own company, they can also enjoy the same tax deductible that they can have for the pension fund that they set up for the company. However, on the other hand, we also see there is some difficulties in having this pension fund. Why? Number one is because setting up and administering all this plan, you know, this kind of plan, usually is very time consuming, and it's also definitely is complicated. And of course is costly. Now, so many of the companies usually will work with insurance company or other companies that can provide this kind of services. Now that's precisely when we are talking about some returns on the asset of the plan that Ibu Lia mentioning earlier, that, you know, if it's not enough, then the employer has to top up, you know, in that situation. That will lead us to the discussions that this has to be managed professionally and give enough return. Because if the return is not enough, then the employer will be, you know, needing to find the source of funding. And in the classical cases, we saw that many companies like the one in Michigan, Detroit area, all these car makers, that they have a very notorious history of, you know, underfunded pension fund, of Ford, of GM, of Chrysler, that actually almost topping down the company, you know, because of their pension underfunded is so huge and creating some kind of liability. And at the same time, for all these kind of companies, they have a very strong CBA, which is the contractual bargaining agreement with the, what do you call that, United States Worker Association, which is very political, powerful organizations. And that has been a long case, you know. It's almost that they go to the situation where they have like forfeiture kind of a situations, you know, go to court, trying to settle this, and that happened for many years, you know. So that is really one of the consideration of which is leading to the disadvantage of having not well-managed pension fund. So in somehow, this is actually also opening a lot of opportunity for the company to shop around, looking into the partner that who can actually provide this kind of services for them. And so they can focus on the business and let the company that they are partnering with will focus on the portfolio of the trust, the asset in the trust of this pension fund. So these are the things that have to be considered by the company very seriously. Now, in the old days, I'm saying the old days is about like 30, 40 years ago in the 1980s, many companies are quite generous. They are actually having a plan that what we call defined benefit, and it's not defined contribution. Nowadays, we are talking about defined contributions where, you know, the employer will put their share into that monthly or yearly, and then the employee also will have a share into that. So this is the defined benefit is the common model now. But in the old days, particularly for many of the Japanese or multilateral agencies like World Bank or ADB, they have this defined benefit. So upon your retirement, you will get like $2 million or $1 million plus healthcare benefit until you died and your spouse died, you know, and this is all covered. That is wonderful, but that is too costly right now to run in that kind of model because, you know, like you have to think that people are getting healthier now, they're living longer, you know, like, and all this annuity that they have to basically compute is going to go further up, you know, to the number that perhaps is going to be very expensive for individual. So many of these organizations that were very generous in the past actually slowly start changing stages by stages, you know, to adopt the defined benefit nowadays. Of course, the one that already being contracted for defined benefit, they're moving to the defined contribution right now. But the one that already signed the defined benefit, it will be grandfathered, you know. they cannot change it unilaterally and say, no, you join this kind of a new scheme. So these are all the things that the development in the world that actually growing into that directions, and also in somehow is going to be more affordable for the company actually to have the plan, instead of really having all this every benefit that you can accrue, you know, until perhaps your employee live until 100 years old, you know. So these are all the things that are ongoing right now. And this kind of model, aside from talent retentions, aside from make your company actually attractive to, you know, it can be also used somehow if that's the computation is based on the profit that being generated. It can also create some kind of productivity, you know, like for the employees, because they will be motivated. Because if they are doing well, they are associating with the good companies. They also want to kind of bring, you know, like retire and then get their package into that. So this is the business case actually for having what we call the pension fund in the corporations. So with all this kind of new, what you call the products in the stock markets nowadays, that coming in from the ETF, from the, you know, the mutual fund or some kind of other portfolio that accessible, the choices right now actually to grow the asset in your trust on the plan trust is actually much better than the old days where the choices is only about the bond investment and also the stock market, you know, the stock investment. So I think from my point of view on the business reason for this, I think this is also connected well with the one that had been discussed earlier with Pak Iteh and also Ibu Lia. So thank you so much for the opportunity, Ibu Lia. I give this slot back to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. Gracia, for the inside information. Well, now Ibu Junita will give her short presentation. It's last but not least. So Ibu Junita will share, of course, her experience, how BCA as an organization support the benefit of administrating the pension fund scheme for the employees. So please, Ibu Junita, to share your knowledge and experience in the pension in managing the pension fund program.
Okay, thank you, Bu Lia. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for attending this webinar. And in this webinar, I would like to share about BCA pension fund in general, such as the overview of the pension fund scheme, the benefits provided, and also like some challenges that we face. Some challenges that faced by the pension fund. So for the pension fund scheme, Dana Pensiun BCA is a form of a DPPK, is a Dana Pensiun Pemberi Kerja. So it means it's established by the employer, is established by BCA. And the pension program is the, mentioned by Ibu Gracia, for our pension program is the defined contribution. So this is a program pensiun iuran pasti. So where the employer and employees contributed for some percentage of the gross salary each month. So each month there is some percentage there is deducted from the salary, and also from the employer contribute some percentage of the gross salary, and it will be put as a accumulation contribution that then will be invested by Dana Pension BCA into, of course, into some instruments that should be complied with the internal policy. There is an internal policy set up in Dana Pension as well, like what is the investment direction, what is the threshold, and what is the instruments that are allowed to be placed in. And also it should be complied with the regulation, because it's also the regulation stated like what instruments that can be placed for the pension fund investment. So we as the employees can know our balance of accumulation of the contribution and also the return on that investment. So we can know every month, like there is a website, DAPEN BCA, as a media to inform the employee regarding to like what is our balance is, and also like what is the program, the benefits, and also the regulation according related to the pension fund, and also the frequent asked questions. So it will give more knowledge to the employees about the pension fund program. For benefit of employee, of course, it will make the employees more secure, because like when the employees reach the retirement age and they will have no more income, they will not earn any income after their retirement. So with the benefit that they will have in the pension benefit, so it will get the compulsory benefit for the retirement period, and also reduce the concern about the future risk. So because of the benefit that they get it, and or say annuity plan that they're already taken, so it will good to ensure the financial sustainability. Of course, yeah, the amount is not as much as the salary that they got before, but yeah, they still have like the secured income in future when they reach their retirement age. The challenges probably at now for the pension fund, it's about we have to adapt with the environment, like what happened in the market. Like we're seeing, we have to adapt with the lower interest rate environment. Therefore, we have to be like more realistic. Like when put the target of the return, we shouldn't force to put very high target. It should be according to what the situation is. So because it is for retirement plan, so this is for the pension for retirement, so it should be like more conservative. The most important is discipline and very prudent. They are the key factors. So not just to chase to get the high return, but then put the investment in the like very insecure investment. So it will be very dangerous for the cash flow for the retirement itself. So I mean, for this kind of instruments, the instruments pickup is very important. It should be like, once more, it should be follow the internal policy that is set up, and also follow the regulation. And like, I think like now, yeah, we need the safe and very liquid instruments, such as like mostly it will be put in the government bonds, and because it is safe and it's also liquid in the market. And yeah, back to what is the aim for the pension fund? It's like give the security for the retirement. So I think, yeah, conservative, careful, prudent. I think that's the key factors. Thank you.
Thank you, Ibu Junita, for the insight and sharing the experience in managing the pension fund in your company. So I think now we open for discussion. So I have 2 questions now for Pak Iteh. So I will read the questions for you, Pak.
Yes, please.
Yeah. The first question is, do permits for the establishment and operation of pension fund program need to be obtained from the OJK or Ministry of Finance or other government institution? The second question is, can I have personal pension fund, not corporate DPLK, the Financial Institution Pension Fund, how to identify the best or most suitable pension fund program. That's the question for you, Pak Ite. I think you can respond to this question. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ibu Lia, for the questions. I think the first questions do permits for the establishment of operations of pension fund need the permissions or obtained from the OJK or the Ministry of Finance. Both you need to obtain from the OJK and the Finance Authority, and also from the Ministry of Finance to make an establishment and operation for one pension fund program. So maybe Ibu Lia can be also give more further information about this later. But we believe this is should be both authorization from Finance Authority and also from the Ministry of Finance. The second question is, can I have a personal pension fund? The answer is yes. You can have your own personal pension funds. Then it's simply like when you get a pension fund from the group, from the company, but this is the personal one. You can get your personal pension fund. Some of the companies in Indonesia provide this financial for the service. I think the next question is how to identify the best and most suitable pension fund program. In my slide before, we're talking about, for sure you need to find a good company which is based on how big is the company and how big is the investment they are already developed before, and the healthy of the company. And the most important one is the transparency. The company will need to provide you more information about your investment. So your pension program will be always growing and growing. Then the transparency is the keyword for this. If the company cannot provide this one, if I do not wrong, I heard from the presentation of Ibu Junita, even in the BCA, they always provide the information for the pension fund program.
Thank you, Pak Ite, for the response. The third question is actually for me. Yes. The question is, does the new job creation law retroactively apply or just for the new contracted employees? So the new law or the new government regulation doesn't say about the retroactive application for the pension fund program. So I assume that it will be applicable for the whole program, in the sense it should apply for all employees, regardless of the term of service. Whether so this should apply to the existing one and also the new ones. I think the philosophy or the goal of this new regulation actually to help the employer to fund or to save their money, their fund to pay the severance. So that's our understanding. So that's why in the other provision in the new law, it also said that now the pension fund program can also be used to pay severance for other reason for termination, not only for the retirement age like in the past. So I think this will be applicable for all employees. Of course, that in reality, the existing employee may raise the objection on that because they will think that I will get benefit if I reach the retirement age. So this is something that probably need to. This is something that the employers, I think, need to communicate intensively with the stakeholders. And so they can get a better understanding of the benefit or the new law for the pension fund program. Second, the second thing, of course, that you may want to have your own rules, in the sense that you, the employer may say that, well, this previous provision will only applicable for the existing employees, but for the new law, it will applicable for the new employees working in the company. I think that's something that can be, I believe, can be negotiated. I hope this is answered the question. I think I have a question for Prof. Gracia. Prof. Gracia, we know that actually the regulation recognizes two types pension fund programs. Once that the company established their own pension plan program and they run their and manage their own program. And the second thing is they outsource or have a cooperation with the other insurance company. So what do you, how do you see this? I mean, which one is better to get benefit from the pension program, Prof?
Well, if you have an in-house expertise for running the investment, perhaps, you know, you can do it on your own. But the problem is that with all the complications on the products that are available in the market right now, and government regulations that are changing, or they have also some kind of adjustment, I think it's always good for the company just to focus on their core business and then just collaborate and, of course, perhaps negotiate very well with the third party who are very expert in that. Because in many occasions, like if you look into the more experienced one, like this is usually is American firm, which is very big, or even with some UK firms also, they kind of really, at the end of the day, trying to manage it in-house, you know, and they end up with some sort of a problematic situation for years. And that actually becoming a real liability for them. So it's better you just focus on what you know. Unless if you're a bank, perhaps like BCA, I understand that they have expertise in-house. They know the product, they're also trading it, they have a very strong treasury presence, then perhaps it's a good way of doing it on your own. But if I'm a manufacturing company, perhaps I don't have even a treasury function in my company. So what do we do then with this? Because if you listen to the presentation of Ibu Junita earlier, it's very interesting because they give a lot of information, they update it and everything, because everything is so handy for them because it's within the house, you know. But if you are dealing with, you know, like other organization outside, definitely you have also to be very clear on what you can afford, what you want to have, the risk appetite that you want to have for your pension fund. So what happens if you outsource to an organization like insurance company and they want to place in some of the bonds that are very risky, for example, are you willing to take up that? So risk appetite has to be also part of the things that we have to discuss if we are using the outside provider for that matter.
Thank you, Prof. Gracia. It's very useful, your response, because I think some of the attendees here may start thinking of enrolling themselves in the pension fund program, whether they want to establish their own, like you say, in-house pension fund program, or they want to outsource this program to the other party who may be expert in managing and giving more benefit from the investment thing, point of view to the company, also to the employees. For Pak Iteh, so from your, because you are working in the insurance company here, so can you give us maybe a short description or short explanation on which pension fund program that will be give most benefit or better for the employer to manage or to register themselves in the program?
Okay, Bulia, thank you for the questions. I think based on our experience in Simas Jiwa, basically we're talking, we're doing we call the severance pay and also the fixed contributions retirement program. So both have this own uniquely, but I think mostly the best way, if we're talking about for the company side and also for the employee side, more or less the severance pay is so far is the best. And lots of people are coming in. For example, in our company, we manage lots about the best severance pay. So it is good for both sides, and back on also in the tax and also on the transparency and also for the employee.
I think we know that I think under regulation, the regulation from OJK, if I'm not mistaken, there is I think two types of pension fund program, Pak.
Yes.
The
severance pay and
severance pay and death benefit. Okay,
severance
so which
pay
one?
And the fixed contribution.
Which one is better, Pak?
So far, the severance pay is, I think, is still a better one. So, but the fixed contribution also actually could be good, but in the several conditions. And I think Prof. Gracia is the best, the expert for that one. But in terms of the business so far, let's say in our big company, we manage a lot of fund for the severance pay.
So majority companies more interested in severance pay program, yeah. So okay, maybe Prof. Gracia can add the explanation, Prof.
Well, perhaps that is for the company perspective, is more like managing the risk, and is part of one of the biggest risks is usually related to laying off people. So, and this will definitely have an immediate disbursement in terms of the cash. So if they can really actually growing this fund, and they have actually some kind of fund that they can use for the severance on the rainy day. But in principle, the pension fund or the retirement fund is not for risk management. It's more like a benefit. If you look from the philosophy of why we have to have this kind of pension fund, so it's not really just to deal with the severance pay. But I can understand also, because nowadays, because of all the changing in the environment, business environment, the long crisis, health crisis that for the first time that we had for a very long period of time, this actually becoming most important issue in the forefront, that how to secure our funding to address all these immediate needs if you have to lay off people. But in the longer period of time, the normal situation, no crisis, I think it should be back to the original idea of giving this as a benefit. It's not just for the rainy day of the risk management type of situations. Because if the business is good, most likely there is no restructuring. And as you know, like in the 97 situations, you remember that all the company trying to restructure their businesses because, situation is so bad, So layoff is the first one that usually they put up on the table, and that will need an immediate settlement, right? Before any other claims. Well, there are a lot of debate, like whether you have to pay first your employees or your lenders, like that's a big issue, but definitely there is that kind of perhaps perception from the past that why we have to put up all this funding, because in case we need the restructuring, yes, we will have the funding. But in the normal situation, I would suggest that we think quite differently, because this is actually when you have war of talents that hard to retain some people, that you want these people to stay with you. So you will have this kind of retirement package and others. Many people are saying that, now the millennials are not interested in this. They can hopping from one job to the other. Yeah, because they're millennials, they're young, they are not yet 45 years old. If you start your pension fund when you are 45 or 50, perhaps you have a very short runway, because there are no number of years for accumulations of the return from the asset in the trust. So that is the thing that perhaps companies also has to be a little bit more careful when they are deciding on this, because they said, millennial will not need, so we don't have to procure the funding. Perhaps it's not. Once they are getting older, perhaps they are not as greedy as my generations, which is like, you know, the baby boomers, you know, but still they need that some kind of retirement fund that they can tap in once they are reaching 50 years old, you know. So that's the reality of the situations right now. But I can understand government has some priority at this point in time for whatever they're trying to attract the foreign direct investment coming in. That's why there is Undang-Undang Cipta Kerja, the job creation law. But the thing is that this is more like, for me, it's like a stopgap measurement at the point. Because in the long run, you know, if the economy is getting better and we are also more productive, it's not going to be the first priority to do restructuring and laying off people. So that's not the story.
Thank you, Prof. Gracia. So from your explanation, because you just talked about the millennials. So do you think that it's better that, because, you know, we actually, there is also pension fund based on the pool fund. So rather than, you know, based on the head count. So do you think that it's better that the company put the investment in pension fund program based on the pool fund rather than, you know, based on the head count of the employees? What do you think, right, Prof?
I think in somehow pool fund is more manageable instead of really just based on head count. Because if it's based on head count, then there is always this coming in, like severance pay and all those kind of things. Now, but the pool fund is really basically is also showing the goodwill of the company that they want to maintain this all the time. You know, it's not just really thinking that, oh, they will have to leave the company within 3 years or 5 years or something like that. Now, the only thing is that perhaps what they are interested in right now, that competing with the pension fund idea, is that to have the share of the company. So this is more attractive to the young people because they said, oh, okay, I'm the owner, I will have this golden shares that they will carry forward until the future. A lot of uncertainty about that. Of course, business is always full of risk, but the thing is that the nature of pension fund is not there. It's not there, you know, like having a share of the company will be very fluctuative, definitely, depending on the share price. And as we know, in many emerging markets, share price is not truly reflections of the performance of the company. There are many other factors, you know, so it's not like in many more advanced economy, they will watch over the earning reports every quarter and they said, oh, they hit the target of this profit, share price will go up. The thing is that not happen in the linear term for the emerging market like Indonesia. That's one thing. Second, also, this share is basically at one point in time, you will have to part with them if you want to get your cash. So pension fund is a little bit different. You know, it's not like you sell all the holding and then you will get it. No, but it's based on the year of service. And you keep continuing by having another shares or investment on your own, on personal savings is separate things. So here don't, I think many of these young people, they kind of really not mess up, but they're thinking that, oh, it's better just to get the share aja, udah nggak usah ikut pension fund. I'm a brave soul that I will, you know, wake up one day and saying that, yeah, I just sell my share. Yeah, if the market is right. What happens if the market is not right? Yes. Oh, everybody think that everything is GameStop. No, of course. GameStop is just one of the aberration, you know, like it's not really the rule of the game. So, you know, that's why it has to be something that related to that, you know. Now, at one point in time, when you're 50 years old, you know, you have your own house, you're about to retire, you think about how to continue your life, actually go on with your life with some money that you actually accrue throughout the years. Yeah. Now, saving is difficult because discipline is number one. But this one, you contribute and accumulate it. Yes, there is a target. Sometimes it's hit, sometimes it's not. But I think you still can get something out of that instead of, you know, trying to manage yourself. You know, sometimes you feel like I don't want to save this month. You know, it's hard. You know. So it's better to look into that perspective. Yes, this millennial and the later generations after that think that is not important because they are still very young at this point in time. You know, but once you are perhaps having at that age around 40, 45 to 50, usually, you know, you will start thinking quite differently in that sense.
Okay, Bu. Okay, Prof. Gracia, thank you for your recommendation. It's very helpful. We have 2 remaining questions now for Pak Iteh, I think. Pak Iteh, there is a question here. If I invest in life insurance that pays for pension, for the pension payout after I reach 65 years old, will this pension payout be taxable or it is not taxable since it is insurance product?
Yes, for sure, if the company entrusts the management of the pension fund to the DPLK, like for example to our company, they will get a benefit of tax. So that is one of the benefit if you entrust your managing fund, your pension fund to the others like the DPLK company like us. So it's free of tax.
It's not taxable, you mean?
Yeah, it's not taxable.
Yeah, okay. Thank you, Pak. The second question, the last question is that is there any product where the pension plan can only be withdrawn after certain years of service in the company? Plan. The question is, I mean, the plan is talking about a pension plan which attached to the headcount, yeah, with the individual.
Or to the individual, yeah.
Yes.
It should be in the fixed contributions retirement program. We have basically we have 2. One is severance pay. Another one is fixed contribution retirement program, which is in Indonesia we call the program pembayaran iuran pasti. So
defined, yeah.
That one can be. We have that also.
So it means that actually the employee can withdraw, the benefit after certain years of service in the company. Yes. I mean, without having terminated the employment.
Yeah. Okay. But there's certainly rule for that before they can withdraw. Yeah.
Okay, so
not only because they will terminate.
Yeah, I think that is what we call the vesting right. It can be defined in that document that how the vesting right will be done by the employee. So it's not always end up with a termination.
Yes.
So it's and in the more advanced economy, like I saw also some in Hong Kong and Singapore before, in the US also, sometimes this is something that they call also deferred compensation scheme. So it's not given to everybody. And it's not like purely is a pension fund, but it's almost like deferred compensation. So after let's say 5 years or 10 years, then, you know, this person can get that deferred payment, you know, for that one.
Okay. Thank you, Pak Iteh and Prof. Gracia for the response. It's very helpful. So I think we now end of our session. I need to hear a closing statement from each panelist. 1 minute, not more. Please, I think I give the opportunity to Ibu Junita first for the closing statement. Please, Ibu Junita.
Yeah, I think for employee, the pension fund benefit is very important because like it's for the future. I mean, when we reach the retirement age, I think, yeah, that's for the employee side. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Bu Junita. Pak Iteh, please go ahead with your closing statement.
Thank you. Ibu and Prof. Gracia, allow me to quote a bit about your presentation before, but this is a very good. My closing statement is like, if you can have the capability for manage your own fund for the pension fund, you can do that. But if your business is not related for that and you just can focus on your business, running on your business, you need to entrust to the expert one. And last but not least, like what Ibu Junita said, pension fund is very important because this is not about like, again, like Prof. Gracia said, this is not like some things we need just to prepare after the rain, but this is a benefit for all the company and also the employee. Thank you, Ibu Lia.
Thank you, Pak Iteh. Now, Ibu Gracia, can you please give your closing statement?
Yeah, well, I learned something through these discussions that the companies are interested only because of, you know, they will have compensations for the severance pay. They are using this for this. For me, there is nothing wrong about that. However, that is actually a very limited perspective. It has to be broader because, you know, at the end of the day, the company, the employer has to respect also the employee that stay with them actually for perhaps a good part of their lives, you know, and that is also one of the things that why this is important. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. Gracia. My closing statement will be is that from the manpower perspective, whatever the pension program that will be registered by the employers, the important thing that the company should have a clear regulation, a provision on how the employee will get benefit, how to withdraw the benefit, and also the requirements for the calculation, for getting the benefit, and so on. Because by the end of the day, for example, if there is a termination of employment, you need to minimize the potential risk of having different calculation, yeah, and how to also withdraw the benefit by the employer and also the employer. I think thank you very much for all the panelists. All the information that you have provided in the session is very helpful. I think I myself also received so many insights from each panelist. And I think this is an hour session. Thank you very much. And thank you also for the participants for joining the session this afternoon. I'll give it back to Ibu Asti from Brigchem. Thank you.
Okay, thank you everyone, and don't forget to register to our upcoming event tomorrow on the Omnibus Law. Thank you.